As I sit here surrounded by the memories of a lifetime, I'm reminded of the woman who shaped my childhood with her unwavering love and wisdom. My grandmother, Aurora, with her blue eyes like a summer sky and a warm smile that could calm any storm. Her hugs had a way of healing any pain, making me feel seen and loved in a way that I still cherish to this day. I thought I knew her like an open book, but life has a way of surprising us, doesn't it? After her passing, I found myself going through her belongings, searching for anything that might bring me closer to her. It was as if I was trying to hold on to her for just a little while longer. Amidst the familiar scent of her perfume and the soft fabrics of her clothes, I stumbled upon an old wooden box tucked away in a corner of her attic. The box itself was unassuming, with intricate carvings that seemed to whisper stories of their own. I opened it, and inside, I found a worn leather diary with yellowed pages that seemed to glow in the dim light. The moment I touched that diary, I felt a shiver run down my spine. It was as if I had uncovered a piece of her that I never knew existed. The cover was embossed with a single letter, T, and the pages within were filled with handwritten notes that seemed to dance across the paper. As I began to read, I realized that this diary was more than just a collection of thoughts. It was a window into a life I thought I knew, but had never truly seen. The words on those pages spoke of love, of sacrifice, and of secrets kept hidden for decades. They spoke of a life lived during times of turmoil, of choices made and paths not taken. And they spoke of a treasure, lost across generations, that seemed to hold the key to our family's history. I felt like I was unraveling a thread that had been carefully woven into the fabric of our family's narrative, and with each turn of the page, I was drawn deeper into the mystery. As I share this story with you, I invite you to join me on a journey of discovery, one that will take us through the highs and lows of human experience. We'll uncover secrets, face challenges, and ultimately, find the enduring power of love and sacrifice. It's a story that has been hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. And I believe that moment is now. So let's begin, shall we? The whispers in the empty hallway have been calling, and I've finally listened. In the late 1930s, nestled in the heart of America, lay the small rural town of Willow Creek, a place where time seemed to stand still, where the air was sweet with the scent of blooming wildflowers, and the sky was a canvas of endless blue. It was here, in this idyllic setting, that a young Aurora grew up, her life a testament to the simple joys and profound beauty of a bygone era. Aurora, with her bright, inquisitive eyes and a mane of curly brown hair, was a dreamer. She spent her days helping her parents on their farm, learning the ins and outs of the land, and her nights lost in the pages of books borrowed from the local library. Her love for reading was not just a pastime but a gateway to worlds beyond the rolling hills and fields of Willow Creek. It fueled her imagination, sparked her curiosity, and quietly instilled in her a yearning for something more. The family lived in a modest but cozy farmhouse, surrounded by a garden that Aurora's mother tended with love. The house was a hub of activity, filled with the laughter of children and the warmth of family gatherings. Thomas, Aurora's older brother, was a young man with big dreams, spending hours poring over aviation manuals, his heart set on flying high above the clouds. Little Lily, on the other hand, saw the world through the lens of poetry, her short verses capturing the essence of nature and the beauty of everyday moments. Life in Willow Creek was dictated by the rhythms of nature. Mornings began before dawn, with the family heading out to the fields. The day was filled with the sounds of school, chores, and community gatherings. Nights were for stargazing, sharing stories, and the quiet reflection of another day well lived. Yet, amidst this peaceful existence, Aurora felt an undercurrent of restlessness, a sense that there was more to life than the familiar routines of her small town. This feeling, she couldn't quite articulate, was a silent companion, one that accompanied her on long walks through the woods, under starlit skies, and during quiet moments spent reading by the fireplace. It was as if she was being called to something, though she didn't know what. This subtle inner conflict, this whisper of discontent, was the first stirrings of a journey that would take her far beyond the boundaries of Willow Creek. As the seasons passed, the world beyond their little town began to stir. News of distant wars, economic shifts, and social changes filtered in, touching the edges of their peaceful lives. But for now, in the stillness of the late 1930s, Willow Creek remained a haven, a place where love, family, and the simple joys of life were the only realities that mattered. Little did they know, the tranquility of their world was on the cusp of being shattered, forever altering the course of their lives. As the summer of 1939 waned, the tranquil life in Willow Creek began to fray at the edges. News of distant wars and European tensions seeped into the town, like autumn leaves carried on the wind. At first it seemed a world away, a murmur of trouble that wouldn't touch their peaceful lives. But as weeks turned into months, the murmurs grew louder. Radio broadcasts spoke of Nazi Germany's aggressive strides, and newspaper headlines warned of an impending war. The air was heavy with unease as families gathered around the radio, their faces lit only by the soft glow of the dial. Aurora's father, his brow furrowed with worry, would adjust the volume, as if trying to tune out the reality that threatened to encroach upon their serene existence. Her mother, seated beside him, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, seemed to hold her breath every time the announcer's voice rose in urgency. In the evenings, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across their modest farmhouse, Thomas, Aurora's brother, would sit on the porch, his eyes aglow with excitement. He spoke of adventure, of the thrill of serving his country, should the war reach their shores. His words painted a picture of heroism and bravery, a world away from the fear that gripped their parents. Aurora, caught between her brother's enthusiasm and her parents' worry, began to see the world through a different lens. The books she loved, once filled with romantic tales of far-off lands and happy endings, now seemed naive. The world was not as black and white as she had imagined. There were shades of gray, complexities that made her question the very fabric of reality. It was on one of these evenings, as she walked through the silent hallway of their home, that she felt an inexplicable urge to whisper her fears into the emptiness. A habit she had developed over the years, whenever the world outside seemed too much to bear. The next day, as Aurora helped her mother with the chores, a stranger arrived in Willow Creek. He came on a dusty military truck, his uniform a stark contrast to the overalls and sundresses that were the town's usual attire. There was something about him that didn't quite fit, a sense of purpose that seemed to drive him forward, even as his eyes scanned the town with a hint of caution. Their eyes met, Aurora's and the stranger's, in a fleeting moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. He smiled, a gentle, enigmatic smile, and Aurora felt a spark within her, a sense of curiosity and wonder. The stranger's name was Elias, and as he stepped off the truck, his boots kicking up small clouds of dust, Aurora sensed that his arrival was no coincidence. There was a story to him, a story that seemed woven from threads of mystery and intrigue. And as their eyes continued to meet, Aurora felt an inexplicable pull, a sense that her life was about to change in ways she could hardly imagine. In that moment, as the sun began its descent, casting a golden glow over Willow Creek, Aurora felt the piece of her world begin to unravel. The war, once a distant rumble, now seemed to be knocking on their doorstep. And Elias, this mysterious stranger, seemed to be at the center of it all, a thread of danger and forbidden love that threatened to pull her into a world she barely understood. As the summer of 1939 wore on, the air grew thick with anticipation, and the shadows cast by the setting sun seemed to stretch and twist, like the fingers of an unseen force. Aurora and Elias's secret meetings became more frequent, always under the guise of stolen moments, snatched from the prying eyes of a world on the brink of chaos. Their hiding spots were chosen for their solitude. The old barn, its wooden beams weathered to a soft silver, the sunflower field, where tall stalks stood sentinel, their bright yellow petals like a chorus of smiling faces. In these places they found solace in each other's company, their love blossoming like a flame that burns brightest in the darkest of times. Elias, with his piercing blue eyes and sharp jawline, was a man of mystery, but to Aurora, he was a beacon of hope. As they walked hand in hand, the soft earth beneath their feet, the war seemed a distant rumble, a threat that had not yet pierced the tranquil bubble of their love. But the world was not so easily kept at bay. One evening, as they sat together on a blanket, watching the stars twinkle to life, Elias's expression turned serious. He took Aurora's hands in his voice low and urgent. "I must tell you something," he said. "Something that could put us both in danger." Aurora's heart skipped a beat as she looked into his eyes, searching for answers. "What is it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Elias hesitated, as if collecting his thoughts. "I am not who you think I am," he said. I am a German scientist, a deserter. I came to Willow Creek to find an encryption device, an artifact that could change the course of the war. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Aurora's mind reeled as she processed the revelation. A deserter? A scientist? The artifact? The questions swirled, but one thing was certain. Elias's presence in her life was no longer just a coincidence. As they pondered their next move, the sound of footsteps echoed through the night, growing louder with each passing moment. Aurora and Elias exchanged a nervous glance. The Nazi agents, disguised as civilians, had begun to appear in Willow Creek, their eyes scanning the streets, searching for Elias and the artifact. The danger was escalating, and Aurora felt her life transforming, like a caterpillar unfolding into a butterfly. She was no longer just a passive observer. She was now an active participant in Elias's mission. The diary, her sole confidant, became a repository of her fears, her forbidden love, and her growing determination. As she wrote by the light of the moon, the words flowed onto the page, a cathartic release of emotions. I never thought I'd be a part of something like this, she wrote. But I am now, and I won't back down. I'll help Elias no matter the cost. The artifact, Elias revealed, was hidden in a secret, ancient labyrinth beneath the town's old church, left by his mentor, a clockmaker. The labyrinth, a maze of twisting passages and hidden chambers, held the key to their survival. And Aurora, with her knowledge of the town's secrets, was the only one who could help Elias navigate its dangers. Together they set out on a perilous journey, their hearts pounding in unison as they descended into the darkness, the diary's words echoing in their minds. I'll help Elias no matter the cost. The stakes were rising, and the fate of their love, their lives, and the war itself hung precariously in the balance. As they navigated the winding tunnels of the underground labyrinth, the air grew thick with anticipation. Aurora's heart pounded in her chest, her senses heightened as she followed Elias through the darkness. The clockmaker's puzzles had been clever, but together, they had overcome each obstacle, drawing closer to their goal. Finally, a faint glow appeared in the distance, illuminating a small chamber deep within the earth. With trembling hands, Elias pushed aside the cobwebs, revealing a beautifully crafted device. The artifact, a small, intricately carved box, seemed to pulsate with a gentle, otherworldly light. Aurora gasped, her eyes locked on the treasure they had sought. But their triumph was short-lived. The sound of footsteps echoed through the tunnels, growing louder with each passing moment. Nazi agents, their faces twisted with malice, emerged from the shadows, guns drawn. Elias instinctively pushed Aurora behind him, his eyes flashing with determination. The ensuing battle was chaotic, the confined space making it difficult to maneuver. Aurora used her knowledge of the labyrinth to evade the agents, dodging and weaving through the tunnels as she desperately tried to protect Elias. But they were vastly outnumbered, and it was only a matter of time before they were overwhelmed. As the agents closed in, Elias made a split-second decision. With a fierce cry, he launched himself at the enemy, buying Aurora a precious few seconds. She seized the opportunity, grabbing the artifact and making a frantic dash for freedom. Elias's voice echoed through the tunnels, his words barely audible over the sound of gunfire. Aurora, go. Take it and never forget. Never forget what we fought for. As she stumbled through the darkness, the artifact clutched to her chest. Aurora felt a searing pain. She glanced back, her eyes locking on Elias's fallen form. The agents were closing in, but she didn't hesitate. With a surge of adrenaline, she sprinted forward, the sound of gunfire and screams fading into the distance. Finally, she emerged into the cool night air, gasping for breath. The artifact, still warm in her hands, seemed to pulse with Elias's final breath. Aurora's vision blurred as tears streamed down her face. She felt a chasm open within her, a sense of loss so profound it threatened to consume her. And yet, even in her grief, Aurora found a spark of determination. She knew that Elias's sacrifice would not be in vain. The artifact, the diary she now held, was a testament to their love, to the power of courage and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. As she stood there, the darkness closing in around her, Aurora made a promise to herself, to Elias, and to the future. She would carry his legacy forward, no matter the cost. The diary, now a tangible connection to the love they shared, would be her guide, her inspiration and her burden. With a resolute heart, Aurora began her journey, the weight of the artifact and the memories of Elias's sacrifice propelling her forward, into a future fraught with uncertainty, but also with hope. As I emerged from the labyrinth, the darkness seemed to swallow me whole. The rain-soaked night air clung to my skin like a damp shroud, and I shivered not just from the chill, but from the weight of what I had just witnessed. Elias's sacrifice still echoed in my mind, a haunting refrain that threatened to consume me. I stumbled back to my home, my heart heavy with grief, my legs trembling beneath me. The walkway to our front door seemed to stretch on forever, the porch light a distant beacon that offered little comfort. I felt shattered both physically and emotionally, yet I clutched the artifact tightly, a tangible reminder of Elias's last act. The diary, now my sole confidant, seemed to whisper words of solace, but they were drowned out by the anguish that roared within me. In the days that followed, I went through the motions, a facade of normalcy masking the turmoil that churned inside. Our neighbors offered condolences, and my family tried to comfort me, but I was alone in my grief. The news of Elias's death had been carefully crafted, an accident, they said, and I was left to bear the burden of the truth. At home, I struggled to maintain a veneer of calm, but it was a fragile thing, threatened by the tears that pricked at the corners of my eyes. My parents and siblings noticed the change in me, the distance that had grown between us, but they couldn't comprehend the depth of my sorrow. I felt isolated, a solitary figure carrying a secret that seemed to grow heavier with each passing day. And yet, amidst the overwhelming grief, a spark within me began to flicker. Elias's words, his promise, and his sacrifice ignited a determination that slowly grew into a flame. I turned to the diary, poring over his notes, seeking to understand the purpose of the artifact and the legacy he had left me. The artifact itself seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, a reminder of the responsibility I now carried. In the stillness of the night, I began my research, poring over books in our local library, driven by a need to decipher the mysteries of the artifact. The librarian, a kind-eyed woman with a warm smile, offered me guidance, and I devoured every word, every hint, every suggestion that might lead me closer to understanding Elias's mission. The sadness in my eyes was still there, but it was no longer the only thing that defined me. A nascent resolve had taken root, a determination to honor Elias's memory and fulfill his legacy, no matter the cost. As I reflect on Grandma Aurora's journey, I recall the countless nights she whispered to the empty hallway at 3 a.m. It was as if she was sharing secrets with the darkness, her voice barely audible, yet full of conviction. I finally listened, and what I discovered was a tale of love, sacrifice, and hidden legacies that transcended time. After leaving Willow Creek, Aurora settled in a modest apartment in a bustling city, surrounded by the hum of strangers and the wail of sirens. She took on a humble job working as a librarian, which allowed her to blend into the background while keeping her mind sharp. Her evenings, however, were reserved for research. With Elias's diary as her guide, she pored over books, maps, and documents, seeking to understand the artifact's true power. Libraries became her sanctuary, the musty smell of old books and the whispered conversations of patrons her comfort. She spent hours poring over texts on cryptography, coding, and intelligence gathering, her pencil scribbling notes in the margins. Aurora's determination was fueled by Elias's memory, and she became increasingly obsessed with unraveling the artifact's secrets. As she delved deeper into her studies, Aurora discovered that the artifact was more than a simple encryption device. It was a powerful tool for intelligence, capable of deciphering enemy codes and predicting strategic movements. Her excitement was tempered by the realization that she was now a target, and the Nazi agents who had pursued Elias were still searching for her. Aurora's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. She developed skills in observation, discretion, and counterintelligence, becoming a self-taught agent driven by necessity and her promise to Elias. I recall her telling me about the time she deciphered a coded message in a crowded cafe, her heart racing as she subtly evaded surveillance. Another evening, she gathered information from a seemingly innocuous conversation at a train station, her eyes locked on a suspicious individual who seemed to be watching her. The weight of her solitude bore down on her, and the emotional toll of her secret life was evident in the lines etched on her face. Yet, her unwavering determination kept her going. Fueled by Elias's memory, and the importance of her mission. She knew that she was not just fighting for her own survival, but for the future of humanity. One evening as she walked home from the library, Aurora noticed a figure lingering in the shadows. Her instincts kicked in, and she quickened her pace, her heart pounding in her chest. She darted into a nearby alley, her senses on high alert, and emerged on the other side, the suspicious individual nowhere to be seen. The close call left her shaken but more resolute than ever. As the months passed, Aurora's skills improved, and so did her understanding of the artifact. She began to see the world through Elias's eyes, and her connection to him grew stronger. The artifact, once a mysterious object, had become a tangible link to her past, a symbol of love and sacrifice that drove her forward. And though the journey was fraught with danger, Aurora knew that she would see it through, no matter the cost. As the war finally drew to a close, Aurora felt a sense of relief wash over her, like the gentle lapping of waves on a still pond. She had done it. She had played her part in the Allied victory, using the artifact to transmit crucial intelligence that had frustrated enemy plans and contributed to strategic victories. The memories of those long nights, hunched over a desk, fingers flying across the keyboard, her heart pounding with every click, still lingered. But now she could look back on it all with a sense of pride and satisfaction. The artifact, once a burden, a constant reminder of Elias and the sacrifices he had made, was now a cherished symbol of their love and her past. She had carefully stored it in a beautiful music box, its delicate patterns and soft, golden glow a testament to the peace and remembrance it represented. The music box had become a treasured keepsake, one that she would often open, letting the sweet, melancholic tune wash over her, transporting her back to a time when love and loss had been so intertwined. As the world around her began to heal, Aurora sought a new beginning. She returned to Willow Creek, the small town where her journey had first begun, and dedicated herself to helping others. She worked with war-affected families, using her experiences to guide them through their own struggles. Her past was a part of her, but it no longer defined her present struggles. Instead, it had become a source of strength, a reminder of the power of love and resilience. Years passed and Aurora grew into the wise, loving grandmother the narrator knew. Her eyes, once bright with a sense of wonder, had deepened like a rich, fine wine, with the wisdom of lived experience. Her smile, warm and familiar, could light up a room, making everyone feel seen and loved. The narrator would often sit at her feet, listening in awe as she shared stories of her adventures, of Elias and of the war. As the narrator looked back, they realized that Aurora's seemingly simple life had been built upon extraordinary experiences and profound sacrifices. The diary, once a mysterious and intriguing object, had become a treasured family heirloom, a testament to the enduring power of love and legacy. It had revealed the depth of Aurora's character, a complex, multifaceted woman, full of love, loss, and laughter. In the quiet moments when the world outside seemed to fade away, the narrator would hear the sound of Aurora's whisper, a soft, gentle voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. "Every night at 3 a.m. I whispered to the empty hallway," she would say, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "I finally listened." And in that moment the narrator knew that they had been given a precious gift, a glimpse into the life of a remarkable woman, a true hero who had lived, loved, and laughed, even in the darkest of times. As I sit here surrounded by the silence of the night, I find myself lost in the pages of Grandma Aurora's diary. It's been a journey of discovery, not just about her life but about mine as well. Reading her words, handwritten with love and care, has been like holding a map to her soul. I feel like I've finally understood the woman who shaped my childhood with her stories, her laughter, and her unconditional love. I remember the tales she used to tell me, of fairies and heroes, of magical lands and daring quests. I now realize that those stories were more than just fantasies. They were metaphors for her own extraordinary life. Her journey, marked by love, sacrifice, and resilience, was the stuff of which those stories were made. I see now that the heroes she spoke of were not just characters in her tales, but real people like Elias, who gave his life for a cause greater than himself. Aurora's legacy is not just the artifact she fought so hard to preserve, nor is it just the secrets she kept hidden. It's the silent strength she carried with her every day, the wisdom she shared through her stories, and the love she gave without condition. Her life was a tapestry of experiences, woven with threads of joy and sorrow, courage and fear. And it's in this complexity that I find beauty. As I reflect on her story, I see parallels between her struggles and mine. I realize that I too have faced challenges that seemed insurmountable, but I also see how those experiences have shaped me into the person I am today. Aurora's story has been a guide, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always hope, always a way forward. Finding this diary has been a journey of emotional catharsis for me. It's allowed me to understand my grandmother on a deeper level, to see her not just as a figure from my childhood, but as a woman who lived, loved, and sacrificed. The diary has become a personal treasure, a guide that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Aurora's story teaches us that our lives are not just about us. They are about the people we touch, the love we share, and the legacies we leave behind. It's a reminder that we all have hidden stories, stories that deserve to be told and shared. As I close this diary, I feel a sense of peace, a sense of understanding about life and courage. I hope that, like Aurora, I can leave behind a legacy of love, a legacy that will inspire and guide those who come after me. Every night at 3 a.m., when the world is quiet, I will whisper my gratitude to the empty hallway, to Grandma Aurora, for showing me the power of love and the enduring legacy of a life well lived. As we close the chapter on Grandma Aurora's remarkable story, we're reminded that life is a tapestry woven with threads of love, sacrifice, and resilience. Her journey, marked by courage and determination, teaches us that even in the darkest moments, there's always a spark of hope. The discovery of her hidden diary has been a testament to the power of legacy and the enduring impact of one person's story on generations to come. If Aurora's story has touched your heart, then its purpose has been fulfilled, for it continues through each of us, inspiring us to face our own challenges with courage and love. As you reflect on Aurora's life, I invite you to engage with this community by sharing your thoughts and experiences. Please leave a comment below, sharing what resonated with you the most or what questions you still have. Your voice is valuable, and your story is worth telling. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel for more stories that inspire and uplift, and share this video with someone who might find solace and strength in Aurora's journey. As we part ways, I leave you with a question. What is the one story or legacy that you hope to pass down to future generations, and how will you ensure its enduring power?